Hello, Angela Meiritz-Reid here, Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Christchurch, New Zealand. Today I'm sharing with you how I created this pretty handcrafted card using the Heart and Home suite. I created this card as a case for the Global Design project this week. We are casing Connie, and this is what I made. So we'll get started and I'll show you how I made this card. So I've started with a basic white card base, just a standard size here in New Zealand, and then I've added a piece of the wood panelled designer series paper. It's the one with the green on the back if you weren't sure which one to use, because there are a lot of choices. So that one is the same size, give or take, and all I've done is made that exactly the same size as the card base because I wanted it to cover the whole base. Adhered that, and if you need to check, you just have a wee look on the back and just move along. It is a wee bit longer there, so you just can trim that. Sometimes it just can be out by a millimetre or so. Just trim along there. And then I'm just going to set that to one side. Then the next thing I want to do is add these panels here, and I've already done them ahead of time to save a bit of time, and I've used this die from the rectangle stitch dies, and that is the one that is about 8.7 centimeters wide by about 3.7. All the measurements are on the instruction sheet. So I've gone ahead, as I said, and cut those, and then I've just glued them randomly to the card front. So I'll start with this one. Doesn't really matter, you can just place them as you go, though you do want to sort of get them evenly spaced out. But as I've already done it ahead, I know roughly where they go, so you can have a bit of a play around before you stick them down. Depends how fussy you are. Yes. Like that. And this one here, and in any order too. There's no rule. There are no rules. And this last one here, and just tuck that in there. Okay, so that's done, and using the glue, you can see I just moved that a little bit. If you've got plenty of glue on the back, it gives you a bit of time to be able to adjust it. And then what I've done, I'm just going to bring in a bit of script paper. I've splattered in the background with the craft ink. So I just get a block and add some of the craft ink to the block. And I've got an old aqua painter because they do get a bit gummed up. I use this for glitter and all sorts of things, so it looks a bit manky. Just add a bit of water, not too much because you want it to be fairly clunky, or sort of gluggy, and then just flick it on. So just as little as you like, and then set that aside to dry. And then the next thing I'm going to do is do the die cuts in the back here, and a great way to do this is to use the adhesive sheets. Just makes gluing them together or sticking them together a lot easier. So this is probably the tricky, oh no, it worked perfectly that time. Just take the backing off, just adhere it to the back of there, so automatically once that's die cut, you're going to have stickers. So I've made this size big enough for all these. So I'm just going to take this across and die cut it, but these are some I've already done in the adhesives on the back, so it won't be a moment. When you are die cutting with the adhesive sheets on the back, or anything a little bit thicker than normal, it does pay to go backwards and forwards a few times just to get through those layers. Right, so they are ready to go, so just use my take your pick tool just to poke those through. Some of them come out easier than others, and then the next thing we're going to do is adhere them together. So it does pay to check. Right, so I'll take this one first, and sometimes these bits here come out when you pull the adhesive off the back, just like that one did. Doesn't make a liar out of me. Some of them have. Oh, that's all good. So otherwise you can poke them out, but sometimes it saves you doing that if you just pull the adhesive off the back first. You just want to line that up as best you can on top of that one. Stick that down. It doesn't matter too much if it is slightly off. Sometimes it adds quite a nice little shadow to the die cut. I just find adding another layer just does give you a bit of extra dimension, movement to your card. Sometimes you can add, more than 2 layers. Does work well. Or sometimes too, what looks quite good if you add a different colour underneath. Let's see. And as I say, it doesn't need to be lined up, because if you do just do it off a little bit, it does give the effect of a shadow behind your die. And the last one. Okay, ready to go. Right, the next thing I'm going to do, just set those aside for a little bit, is stamp the sentiment, and I'm going to use the Fresh Freesia ink pad that coordinates with the Fresh Freesia and the DSP, and just use it onto a little bit of white cardstock. And then that just needs trimming down, and I have already gone ahead and trimmed that down already. So that is 5 centimeters wide by about 2.3 centimeters high. And the reason I've made that size is because I've die cut this little label here from the Stitch So Sweetly dies, which that is the about 5.6 millimeters by about 3 centimeters. And that's just going to stick on in there. So add a bit of glue to that centerpiece, pop that on. So easy peasy. And then I've got some baker's twine, and I've already tied that into a bow. And that is, the measurement, that's 30 centimeters, about 32 centimeters is about the length I usually use for a bow. Right, and then we're going to bring the card back in and it probably won't be dry yet, so just want to be careful of that, otherwise I'm going to get white craft ink either spread over the card or over me. So these bits here, I'm just going to take the adhesive off the back of here, so that I can stick it onto the card front. So once you get going, you're fine. So it sort of goes in there, and what you can do is just place this on from time to time just to see, or leave it there in place and just tuck these underneath to get your placing. So one sort of in here, and then so I like to do 2s and 3s, so I've got 2 up here and 3 down here. Actually that is quite handy too, that take your pick to lift that adhesive backing off. And 2 more. So I hope everyone's had a happy Christmas and great start to the new year. Still in holiday mode here a little bit, so that's nice. Technically it's a statutory day here today, so it's fairly quiet. Not everyone's back at work yet. And then the last one, just sort of tuck that. So it's getting a bit high under there, but that's okay. I'll put some dimensionals on, so I think that's about okay. And then I want the bow to go across that way there. So I'm just going to use my glue dots. I'll just tuck that glue dot in there so it's down, sort of, and put the knot. It's not adding extra height. Just keeping that in that wee dip. And then I'm going to add some dimensionals to that. Just tuck those in there. See how I go. This probably is enough to keep it in place. Could add a bit of other glue just under there if you wanted to. I'm sure that'll hold that in place easily enough. And then I've added 7 of the pearls. So got the medium sized ones, one here. I like to try and find something to anchor them to, but it's not really necessary. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. Oh, there's my counting going wonky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there must be one somewhere else. Oh, right down the bottom here. Tuck that in on that paper there. And actually that is sitting a bit up, so I might just add a bit of glue under there just to. Oops, throwing glue around. And if I just pop something on top of that, just a block, just hold that for a few moments, just put that down. And there you have it. Apart from the die cutting, which is probably what takes the longest, fairly quick and easy card. So thanks very much for watching along with me. I hope you enjoyed that, and there is a PDF, as I said, attached to this, and links to all the product if you were wanting to purchase any of these from my online store. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.